Everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm bringing a little more time. Welcome to the May 1st, 2023 meeting of the Rotary Club of Raleigh downtown. I'm your president, Tom Becker, and it's great to see everybody here on this high school spring morning. We have a number of guests we'd like to get to. Of course, we have a very special speaker to get to as well once we finish our business. So we will start though first with Tommy Kelleher giving the invocation and pledge of allegiance before we continue further time.
Thank you very much, President Tom. I appreciate it. And before we do our invocation today, for those of you that are members of the club, Lawrence Davis is a club member who's having some health concerns and some issues right now. If you keep him in your prayers, whether you're here or not, he and his family would really appreciate that. Likewise, we have a card up at the front table. If you didn't get a chance to sign it already, please do double back during the meeting today so that he knows that we're thinking of him. Lawrence is a longtime Rotarian, to say the least. He's a lifer. So y'all, he is.
He does have lots of nursing.
Your prayers are already working. Glad to hear. All right, if you bow your heads for today's invocation. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us together. We thank you for brothers like Mr. Davis and hope that his health continues to increase. We love this day and this weather that you've created for us, the opportunity to bond among folks whose intent is to serve and to get out into these communities and to create a better place to live, not just today, but every day that we go to work. We thank you for the faces in this room, for the good that they do, for the things that we see and the things that we don't see. We thank you for today and for all of this food. Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, you to the home for space, the skies for and away, so great. For since these see,
Okay, Charlie, what's going you want to Texas? We heard that. We have a number of guests with us today. First of all, though, he is not a guest, but a longtime member who's returned after just too long of an absence, and we missed him. Bill Lambeth. Bill, we'd like to welcome you back. Bill, one of our past presidents, one of the longtime members you've seen featured, been a member since the 1980s, and it's great to see your face again, Bill. So hopefully see you more. Other guests I had actually took this from Linda's desk to help me out with the guest story here. First, we'll start with my good friend of John Luke's, Jordan. Is that right? Yes. Jordan, would you like to stand up, introduce yourself, and tell us what you did?
I always go to work with John. I work with participants trying to strive for healthy and fruitful retirement, and make sure they're saving up.
Great, welcome. And then we also have Brett. Is it Baumgartner? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, you're.
I'm not the, yeah.
Right, you're Susan's assistant. Okay, but it's great to have you here, Brett. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. That's great. Well, let me do it this way, yeah. I know we have Amber here today, right? Amber, you got to stand up and introduce yourself?
The wine modules. And I run a state program called Youth and Government, which teaches high schoolers about government, how to make change, and about civic engagement. So thank you for watching.
And then I know we have Glenn Love. Glenn, would you stand up? I know you introduce us by Mary Moss initially, but go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Glenn Lovell from Mills of Lake County. I oversee a program called Friendship Cafe, which is for 60+ active adults to come together, trying to get people out of isolation, those that are facing depression and so forth, to come together and have lunch every day. So, yes, if you're interested in Friendship Cafes, we currently have 10 of them getting ready to add an 11th one here soon. So it's wonderful to be here.
Okay, it's good. Thank you. And then Maddie Marshall. Maddie, you'd like to introduce yourself and let us know what you do?
Hi, I'm Maddie Marshall. I'm the development coordinator for Lake County Smart Program. Thank you so much for having us. We're here to talk about, to announce our 8th anniversary. It'll be still selling tickets, and this was really invested in children around the community. Last year we helped, in a fiscal year, we helped over 40,000 children from ages 0 to 5. Have the foundation that we're so happy.
It's great to have you. Thank you. Have I missed any other guests who are here? Yes. Yes, sir. Indeed.
This is my sister Mira. She works with me at Fearless. And her husband, recently retired from the State Department. They've lived in 7 countries around the world. And she's spent a lot of time in Italy over the years, so I thought today's program would be perfect for her. So.
Perfect. Mira, welcome. Yes, Brandy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to explain. I'm Michelle Butler. I'm the director of our private banking team with Town Bank, and I get some part of my job is to hang out with folks like Brandy and tell our we're so excited to be expanding to Raleigh. So here today and tomorrow.
And Laura, welcome you once again. Understand you have an application in hand. Is that right? Great. Okay, that's all the guests. Remember, the red buckets are for donations to Dementia Alliance of North Carolina. We put in small change for the monopoly money of $1 or $2 if you don't have change, and it all adds up towards the end of the year. So for that purpose. Let's see. Upcoming meetings. We have our one-time valued member who's sitting right back there. Is going to speak to us next week about her life on the North Carolina Supreme Court, Robin Hudson. And then we'll have a fun talk about golf on May 15th. Matt Perlow runs the First Tee program here in the Triangle. And then another timely topic, if you read the news this morning, we have a fellow who's head of the North Carolina Bankers Association. I think this is title David associated with them. And talk to us about bank failures. Seem to be happening every once in a while these days. etc. Don't forget, last chance. I think today is to register for the district conference this Saturday in Chapel Hill, where you'll meet everybody else from the district. There are About 150 people I know from around the district going to that, so you still can go. It's a good way to learn about Rotary outside of our club and what's happening. Tommy, you ready for the raffle?
Absolutely.
Okay, some of you may have bought raffle tickets. I know I did on the way in. And Tommy is our head raffler.
I'd like to thank everyone for being so generous with their raffle purchases. Great to have some money to give away. Today, we're gonna hand out $105 to the winner. Pretty good, right? Yeah. I need somebody who didn't buy a ticket. David Forrest will pick on you. David, pull us the winner here. Nobody else will be mad at you. Don't worry. Pull this the winner. Not fair at all concerned. If you didn't win, then please pay that after the meeting. All right, that's an excellent ticket, 800-1804. Brandy. Yeah, there we go.
Congratulations to Brandy Guru. Making it ahead. Tommy, are we going?
Yeah.
Good, great, good. Okay, another edition of Nosy Neighbor for our guests. This is a portion of the meeting where Tommy will talk to one of our members, ask him or her a couple questions about what they do, their life, and maybe a couple of personal questions as well to get to know them better. Yeah, Tommy, it's all yours.
We try not to make the questions too personal. I don't want anybody to be scared to do this, but otherwise, it's a great opportunity for us to get to know some members. Today we got Eric Stevens up here with us. If you guys don't know Eric, he's a former club president. We'll dive into that a little bit this morning as well. But I'm gonna stand aside and let him talk. Eric, if you can start out, tell us a little bit professionally about kind of what you do for work, who you are, a little bit about what's going on at work.
Sure. So I'm Eric Stevens. I am an attorney with the law firm of Corner and Scroll, which is in the PNC building just down the street here. So I've got a nice little walk to the club every day. It's very nice. I do trademark and copyright law. And then over the past couple of years, a big part of my practice has been serving as the chancellor to the United Methodist Conference, the North Carolina Conference of the United Methodist Church. The United Methodist Church is going through some things right now, so that's been a big part of what I've been kind of keeping busy with, in addition to sort of my normal commercial trademark and copyright practice.
For those of you that weren't here or that might not remember or have blocked this portion from your memory, Eric was president during COVID, which was really tough. So a lot of his job had to do with figuring that out on the fly. Eric, you want to talk us through a little bit of the club during COVID?
Sure. One exciting thing is that we've done such a great job recruiting new members, that there are so many people here who I think were not necessarily members during the time that I was president just a few years ago. So that's just a great tribute to everybody that's been involved since then. But I do remember when I went to the president-elect training seminar in February of 2020, I believe that was an in-person meeting where everybody was just starting to get worried about what was going on here, and we were kind of learning to do the fist bump instead of shaking hands and washing our hands a lot, and being told not to wear masks at that point. I remember somebody coming up to me and telling me they had read in the news that in Japan they had decided to close all of the public schools. And the thing that still kind of sticks out for me is like talking to people and kind of laughing about what an uproar there would be here in the US if we had to do something like that. And it just seems so completely out of the question that that would ever happen. And I don't know how many weeks afterwards it did. But it's amazing how quickly things changed, and my recollection of that, that year of being president is a whirlwind. I did work with then President Jim even before I became president in July to help us kind of get set up, having our Zoom meetings. And this group was so good and so creative about finding ways to stay together and continue to do all the great work of Rotary, in a different way through Zoom meetings and Zoom, wine fundraisers and, managing once we could to get out and do some public service work outdoors and have some gatherings outdoors. It was a time when we really found interesting and creative ways to come together, and I'm certainly very proud of this club for how we pulled through that.
Definitely. And before we step down, can you tell us something, either a personal or a professional story that you think would be notable for the club?
When you asked that, the thing that came to mind for whatever reason, and they were just talking about, I guess we're having somebody come and talk about golf. I used to be fortunate enough to have grandparents in law who lived in Macon, Georgia, who had tickets to the Masters. And so every once in a while, we would get to go down to the Masters kind of in my younger years before they passed away. Kind of interesting, the tickets kept coming to them for about 3 or 4 years after they died. So we got a few tickets even after that. But I do remember one time being at the Masters and kind of watching them play from the fairway. I don't remember which one. And we heard some people yelling 4 and kind of ducked our heads and kind of moved out of the way and saw, the golf ball kind of coming down into the, along the fairway where the galleries all kind of standing there. And, and there was no sound of it limiting, and everybody's looking around, trying to find the golf ball. It was just missed. It was gone until finally somebody put his hand in his pocket, on his jacket. And they found the golf ball had like landed. True story.
If you didn't know Eric before, now you do. Thank you guys for listening in. Eric's downplaying it. He was amazing during COVID, did a great job as our president. Those of you that were here remember and know. If you haven't connected with Eric, get with him outside of a meeting, hang out a little bit. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tommy and Eric. Yeah.
Eric, did you get the ball back?
Yes. Very carefully.
They actually made him try to figure out where he was when it landed, and then they.
All right. Next, we're moving on. Whoops. I'd like for Eric Larson and Patty Mooney to please come up. We have a ceremony to recognize a couple of our members for a special achievement.
And if Gene and Burke would join us up here, please, and stand next to Patty. For those of you who don't know, and most of you do, so I know this is a little bit of a repetition for you, but when someone gives $1,000 to the Rotary International Foundation, they're recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow. If they do it again, they're called a Paul Harris +1, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You keep adding to that. And we're honoring 2 of our members today, Burke for his first Paul Harris Fellow, and Jean for her second Paul Harris Fellow. And while Patty presents them with their certificates, their pins, et cetera, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Rotary does around the world. We always like to mention that. So Patty, if you can go ahead and present those while I'm speaking. So let's see, Carrie, what is it? 23 days, we're going to be getting on an airplane, Carrie and I, and going to Australia for the Rotary International convention. And we're taking along my wife and Carrie's husband and her son and her brother. And we're all going to spend 2 weeks in New Zealand after the convention. So I was looking for a New Zealand Rotary story. And sure enough, there are 2 islands in New Zealand, the North Island and the South Island. And our grandson, Carrie's son, knows more about New Zealand than most people who live there at this point. We've really been researching it. But for Rotary, the North Island is very lush and prosperous, and they have a great citrus industry there. And they raised so many limes and oranges and grapefruit, they have excess. The opposite is true in the South Island, where there's a lot of need for that kind of food, especially for individuals who are less fortunate, and especially for older people, because you need the citrus and whatnot. So these clever Rotarians in Australia, in New Zealand, got together, coordinated, and they arranged to collect the inventory that was in excess in the North Island and get it shipped through funds through Rotary to the South Island, where it's distributed to seniors there in that area so they can have that. This program was so successful, it was considered to be a textbook in collaboration, that the program continued. And now the transport company is actually donating the transportation services, which is the biggest piece of that, to the project each year. So Rotarians working together, leveraging funds and doing service around the world. So that's our story. Now, what we want to do is recognize Bert and Jean as they return to their seats as the newest Paul Harris Fellows. So let's recognize them.
Thank you. Congratulations, Burke and Jean. Next, we'd like to have Carrie Larson come up and talk about fundraising. Carrie?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, President Tom. My name is Carrie. I'm the president-elect for this club and this year's co-chair along with Eric Juicy Jones for the fundraising committee. On May 11th, next Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at our Good Friends Across the Street City Club, we will be having a fantastic wine tasting fundraiser event. I wanted to share, I know every one of you Rotary should get this magazine in the mail once a month. And I wanted to share a few sentences from RI President Jennifer Jones's letter in this month's edition. Whatever we are facing in life, Rotary is a place where we know we're not alone. We spend so much time helping our world, whether it's working to end polio, cleaning up the environment, or bringing hope to communities that need it most. Sometimes we can lose track of the need to apply some of our energy and care to our fellow members and partners in service. So I thought this was really neat when considering our fundraiser coming up, as the fundraiser is going to benefit our club, which is very important in continuing to provide a wonderful member service to all of us Rotarians every single Monday. It helps us keep our dues down, and it also helps cover our meal costs every week. So I really hope to see all of y'all out there next Thursday, May 11th, 11 p.m. No, I'm sorry, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And tickets are $80. And on the slide, if you could go back to one,
I got it.
okay, thank you. This is a quick step. We are using a new platform to run the project. This time, our fundraiser this year. So you have to kind of go through 2 different steps or 3 different steps. First thing, please RSVP on the Evite, and the link is up there on the slide. As well, you can email Linda and she can send it to you as well. After you do that, you will see, if you scroll down on the Evite to more information, you will see a link that has the word "Give Some" in it. Click on that and it will take you to a website where you will actually pay for your ticket. And on the bottom left portion of the slide, you'll see a red box around tickets, items, and then please also go to our auction where you will see our auction items. So if you move to the next slide. We also have 2 different sponsorship opportunities, gold and silver sponsors. Gold is $300 and you get 2 tickets to the event plus 2 raffle tickets. Silver is $150 and you get 1 raffle, 1 event ticket. And here are our fantastic gold sponsors thus far. First thing, thanks to Tom Holder, who is a past treasurer of the club. Charlie Upshaw with Capital Investments is also a gold level sponsor, and Mr. Charles King, his Sky Farm, is also a sponsor. So thank you all. And then let's look at some of the awesome silent auction items. So these are what we have gotten donated so far. Really excited about it. Umstead Hotel and Spa Care Package donated by Mary Moss. Jean Boyle secured for us a beautiful gold link bracelet that we will actually have as a live auction item. Our wonderful president, Tom Packer, has a round of golf at Carolina Country Club that he has donated. Charles King has a great French wine bottle. Our wonderful speaker, thank you, Susan Bradley, is donating a signed copy of her book. Got a Seasons 52 gift card, thanks to Elsa Silverman, and our new member, St. Hugh Goalie, is donating a handmade cutting board. So that's just a few of the items. It's gonna be a great silent auction, and we have a few live auction items. So please come out, see Linda, me, Juicy, Elsa, if you have any questions, and please bring donation items, gift cards, whatever, if you have any. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Carrie. And a special email went out about all this on Friday, so check your email box. It's all there to sign up. Hope to see a lot of you there. I don't believe Richard is here today, our service chair, Richard Averett, but I'll just cover, because I was there. Last Friday, we supported the Rotary Club of Raleigh Dental Clinic, AKA Wake Smiles, which we helped found several years ago. This is their first annual oral cancer screening clinic for the community. You can go in. People who don't have access to health care can come in and be screened, and it was a big success for the first time. You can see I'm there with Bill McLaurin and Kima's there along with Carrie, and we had a good time helping out for half a day while they ran the clinic. And a good number of people came through, and it's important service to the community. So it's nice that we can support them, start this tradition of offering healthcare services like this to those in need in our community. Next month, we will be returning to Habitat for Humanity. And they're building a building project out the whole place in Southeast Raleigh. So please sign up for that, so we have a good turnout for that. Next May 13th. There's where you can sign up. It was in the newsletter this morning with a link where you can sign up, and hopefully we'll see a number of you there. And it's nice. That'll be in May before it gets too hot. We did one last July, which was very worthwhile. We learned a lot, but this would be a bit cooler, I think. So hopefully get more people. So I wanted to now go on to membership with our membership chair, Harrison Turner. Harrison, there you go.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday to all. Yes, thank you so much for being here today. Hope you find, as always, this club to be welcoming and an active club that is trying to add value to our community through service above self. I think we do that better than anybody from an organizational standpoint in the Triangle. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for showing a desire to be a part of that as we continue to add value. So with that, we have two first readings today. Grayson, if you would please come up front. Thank you so much. And Grayson, you can tell me how horrible I destroyed your last name. I'm so sorry. So today we have Grayson Tavalachi. His first reading, he is sponsored by Eric Larson. He also goes by Gray. Gray joined APG Advisors after attending East Carolina University, where he has acquired a degree of entrepreneurial studies. As a licensed broker in the state of North Carolina, Gray serves as real estate investment properties on the APG Advisors team. Prior to joining their team, Gray worked at EXP Commercial, where he assisted in lease preparation for office space. With a passion for building strong relationships, Gray strives to add value to all aspects of the lives of the people he works with. His goal is to help others create a long-lasting legacy, both monetary and non-monetary facets. A few of Gray's hobbies is traveling, golf, and watching the New York Yankees. I don't know if that gives anybody bad feels in here. At least he's also board members of the Triangle Urban Land Institute. He's on the Transportation and Land Use Committee. He helps out with Habitat for Humanity and Fairways for Warriors golf tournament. If you haven't had an opportunity to meet with Gray, I know this is your second time coming to one of the meetings, so happy and excited to have him part of the club. Please connect with him afterwards. And if you've got any questions about his membership, please reach out to myself. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, we also have a first reading today for Faye Hilford. Faye actually was not able to be here today, unfortunately. She is sponsored by Brandy Giroux. Faye joined Merrill Lynch Wealth Management in 2022, coming from a large private bank where she worked with wealth advisory role for 7 years. Faye works with her clients to set and achieve their financial goals, as well as creates the legacy they envision. Her background as an estate planning attorney is especially helpful in this regard. Faye's experience in estate planning, liquidity events, trust, and life events allow her to provide unique perspectives to her clients. Faye especially enjoys the educational element of her role, and as she has the ability to speak to groups of young women about financial literacy. Prior to her work with wealth management, Faye practiced law with the largest law firm in Austin, Texas, as an estate planning, probate, and tax attorney. Faye also clerked for the United States Tax Court in Washington, D.C. Her experience also includes closely held businesses, oil and gas, and real estate. She's originally from Austin, Texas, but now she lives here in Raleigh with her North Carolina native husband, Mark, and their daughter, Annie, who is 7. An interesting fact, so Faye's grandmother was a longtime Rotarian in Austin, as well as her great-grandfather who was in Fort Worth, Texas, the birth champion. So excited to have her join the group as well. Looking forward to have her next week for her second reading. Now that's it for Rotary membership.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks. Thank you. And also, I know birthdays to celebrate this week, but anniversaries, Sean and Emily Doyle, and Chad, Cindy Daigle. Happy anniversary. Linda, you tell me to stop. Oh. Hey, happy anniversary. Okay. So with that, I would like to introduce our featured speaker today. There we go. We are very fortunate to have come speak to us once again, although her accomplishments continue and expand since then. But we're very pleased to have Susan Bradley come speak to us today. Susan is the founder and chief executive officer of Vietri, a lifestyle brand offering handcraft Italian tabletop and home and garden accessories. She started Vietri alongside her sister and mother after they took a trip to Italy in 1983, which she described as just being a magical trip. But since that trip 40 years ago, Vietri has become the largest American importer of Italian ceramics. Her new memoir and cookbook, Italy on a Plate, celebrates 40 years of Vietri. It's an exploration into what makes Italy so magical. Its staggering beauty, unparalleled style, artistic legacy, and incredible food. The book has become a national bestseller, was recently featured by the New York Times. So please welcome Susan Bradley. Susan.
Well, thank you. I think this sounds fine. What do you think?
Let me lower this a little bit. I saw people on Zoom.
I could stand on my toes, but
I
perfect.
think that's good.
Okay,
Great.
thank you. Thank you all very much, and thank you Raleigh Rotary and President Tom Packer for having me. I also want to thank you all for taking care of my family. Because I'm married to a Raleighite, Bill Ross, who I think his lifelong passion is Dix Park and thinks it's the finest thing that's ever happened to his life. Even last night coming back from Wilmington, the wedding, we always have to drive through Dix Park and see what's happening. His sister Betsy Frazier and Steve and his brother Willard Ross and Libby and both nieces and families live here. So thank y'all very, very much for keeping your arms around my family. It's after 4 years and to see what has happened since then. I thought what I would do is tell you a little bit about Vietri and then get you quickly up to 40 years and this book, so you know more about it. Io volevo dire a te, buongiorno, sono contento di essere qui con noi. My first trip to Italy was in 1983. It was a trip my mother and father had planned to take. I was from Rocky Mount, and my father was president of China American Tobacco Company. He had sold it at 60, had gone down to introduce the Italian conglomerate to the new owners. Didn't feel very well, came back. It was August and hot, had a heart attack and died. So they never got to take that trip. But 2 years later, Mama called me. I was in New York at the time, and my sister just had her second child, and my brothers were not invited, and invited us on this famous trip. Well, we went on the trip, Francis and I, to be with Mama and to celebrate Daddy. And we flew Alitalia. Francis went up to business class. We were in the regular class to go to the ladies' room, as you could in those days. Started chatting with an Italian gentleman, who then later came down to meet la mamma e due sorelle, the mother and two daughters, sisters, and he gave us his card after giving us restaurants in Rome. He said, when you get to Florence, call me. We thanked him very much. Put that card in our pocketbook, and never, as Southern women, we call a stranger in Florence. However, we tried his restaurants, fabulous, went down to the Amalfi Coast and stayed at Il San Pietro. And for any of you who've never been there, you will put it on your bucket list and know you're going to spend more money than you ever wanted to spend, but you will never forget it. You arrive on top of a cliff. You go down through the rock, 10 stories through an elevator, and imagine the elevator opening, and there's arched ceilings that you can see where they've been hand chipped away. You see the sea beyond you with white cotton covers on all the furniture, and you turn left, and for those of us who love to eat and love to dine and be together around the table, there it was. Probably my first love, dinnerware. All these different patterns mixed and matched, and all the beautiful colors of the sea and the countryside on peach tablecloths. And we sat down and we thought we had gone to heaven. We found out where the factory was. We got a driver who spoke English at the time. I did not speak Italian. And for 3 days, we went back and forth to a factory in Vietri sul Mare. It was only 20 miles away, but an hour and a half driving through the curves of the Amalfi Coast. We went from saying, let's buy for ourselves, to let's buy for our friends and family, to sitting with a couple who were in clothing manufacturing from New York. And Mr. Clark said, you should not retail. You are really interested in design, so you should wholesale and distribute. And we said, great idea. And that was May 10th of 1983. None of us knew what that meant, except we knew that if tobacco could travel all over the world, so could plates. So we happily took a few plates with us, went up to Florence. Mama always believed in buying a little gift when she was traveling, and she was going to buy us a gift. We didn't see anything. We went to a restaurant, drank wine, celebrating Daddy, came up, had our one and only argument about walking or taking a taxi back to the hotel. Mama lost. We started walking, and she really lost because the taxi came by, pushed her, grabbed her pocketbook that at that time had all the cash, all the traveler's checks, and all the passports. So after about 3 hours, from about 10 to 1 that night at the police station in Italy, nothing happened. So we came back, and that morning Mama said, remember that nice man on the airplane. So we called him, he happened to be home, he came to pick us up, he lent us money. He took us to get passports and took us to lunch and then said, Mom, good mom, where do you want to go in the afternoon? And she said, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So off we go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And during that time, we talk about these plates. That night, coming back, 10:30 at night, we drive up to the most beautiful villa you've ever seen in the hills of Florence. He says, Vieni con me, come with me. We go to the door, we knock on the door, go up three levels in the elevator, and there was Tita Uzielli. She was one of his best friends. She worked for Macy's Corporation. We told her about the plates, and she said, fabulous designs, they're totally crooks. I wouldn't do it. Well, as Southern women, and all of us being somewhat entrepreneurial, to try. I mean, what are we going to lose? So we went back. This gentleman, Fabio Cuccinelli, gave us his name. He said, if you get serious, call me again. I'll help you negotiate your first contract. We got serious. I carried a notebook around. I found out about freight forwarders and custom brokers and, had the first prices that we had thought we had negotiated, started talking to different people about, I went to Sareed and Wilson to how do you price things to get to a wholesale price and what is a wholesale price versus a retail price. Talked ourselves into the New York tabletop show. And with that, we were ready to go back. We went back, negotiated our first $35,000 contract with prices that were not what we went with, thinking that we were going to get, but they were still okay. Went back, then we went to the tabletop show, and lo and behold, Neiman Marcus came by, and they sat down and generally wrote what they were going to buy. And that became a $25,000 order. $25,000 for me was more money than I had ever dreamed about. I'd never had. And here was our first order. So lo and behold, we made sure that on March 14th of '84, when that first container came to Durham, and we were sharing some of Southern Seasons, who used to be a store in Chapel Hill's warehouse space, that my mother brought her friend, 55 to 58-year-old friends from Rocky Mount. A British Moorhead brought all of the soccer team from UNC. And he and another guy went to the bus station in Durham and found everybody they could find. And we unloaded that entire container. We counted every piece with sticks, had figured out how to create style numbers, stayed up all that night, and the next morning we shipped our first order to Neiman Marcus. 40 years later, they are still our account. So it's been an incredible experience. It's had, like any other business, ups and downs and turns and sideways, but the beauty of what I do is that the mission and vision of Vietri is very much the same mission and vision that my family always lived. And it was the metaphor of a table. That metaphor is that no matter where you are, whether you are physically around a table or you're with a group of people talking, that you end that conversation with feeling better. You met somebody, you've had a new idea, you've comforted somebody, something has happened in that circle that has made everybody feel better and their life feel better. And that's what we always say about Vietri. We would love to always feel that what we sell helps with celebrating life. We do not expect every table to have only Vietri, but we hope it has one piece and that it brings joy and life and the next generation that can tell stories about when they used it and what it meant to them. That is kind of the big picture of Vietri. We are situated in Hillsborough, North Carolina. We have in the winter about 75 employees and regularly about 55. I have some very close friends sitting here that I know well, and they know that it's been my passion and my love, and I still work a lot and love it and have a fabulous husband that completely understands and supports me, as do my friends, because I've been able to experience and build a company with now this next generation of young people who have the same passion, the same love, and thank goodness from the pandemic are entertaining. They want to be at a table. They want to have a plate that they have a lot of fun with, whether they're cooking or not cooking. So here came 40 years. 2 years ago, we were brainstorming about what this year would look like. And I've been asked many, many times to write a book. Whether it's a book on entrepreneurship, a book on women in business, a book on international business, a cookbook, a travel book, you name it. So we started talking about what this book looked like. And I went home and I wrote down the people or places that I felt had been very instrumental in my 40 years. And it was you can imagine the list. And I kept putting it down, getting it smaller, and got to 8 people or places. And I just started writing about them. We then talked about it and we said, why don't we create not only a story, a memoir of relationships, but also what it's like around where they live. So it becomes travel. And also one of the most important things in Italy is eating and enjoying being together. As a Southerner, if we meet someone new and we like them, we invite them to our home for dinner, or we invite them for coffee. It takes 2 or 3 times that maybe you decide maybe they're not the kind of person that I want to spend a lot of time with. And then you kind of separate, or they're fabulous and they become true friends. Italy is totally different. Though when you're there, there's this warmth and, feeling among each other. They do not naturally invite you to their home. That takes 5, 6 times being together, talking work, talking product, enjoying each other. And when you are invited to their home, that is a friendship that is beginning that will be forever. So I have family and friends all over the world. And that is one of the joys of my life and Bill's life. This book is special because, first off, one of my mentors is Frances Maves. Frances Maves wrote Under the Tuscan Sun. And for any of you that don't know this, they live half-time in Durham and they live half-time in Cortona. And I was talking about this and we were in Cortona. Bill and I were there photographing her home because she's a chapter in the book. And I had about 5 different names. And she went, Susan, you're making this hard. It's Italy on a plate. And I went, you're right. So I have to thank her for the name. However, I did go back to my office and found a 1995 Gourmet magazine article about Vietri. And in it, I had said something about, it feels like Italy on a plate. So I called her quickly and said, well, I had a little bit to do with it. But she wrote the foreword. The introduction is the story of my family and how we started the company, and lots of wonderful pictures. And then there are 8 people and places. Tita, who I talked about, is the first chapter. Then there's a chapter on the first factory in Positano. Tita's in Florence. there's a chapter on a fellow named Antonio Carrassi. And I think I called it the mayor of Positano because I knew him when he was 4 years old. In his uncle's ceramic shop, trying to speak English. And he's now almost 40 years old, and he's this lovely gentleman that owns all the ceramic stores that are in Positano, and we always trade ideas. Then I wrote about one north of Venice, a fabulous family that does sponging on ceramic, a family in Nove, which is outside of Venice, and then many other places. The last chapter is called Bringing Italy Home. And that's a chapter on our home in Chapel Hill, but I put in family recipes that we have, for any of you that remember hot milk cake with, fudge icing and oyster casserole and, lamb that you put olives in. But that's the basis of this book, bringing all of us together, enjoying the stories about my relationships with Italian and all of you thinking about your next trip to Italy, because there is no country in the world that is as magical as Italy, where every day of my 40 years and 150 trips there, it is the same. The smells are different, the light is different, the art is different. Every piece of antique building, the stones look different. So enjoy the book, enjoy your next travel to Italy, and thank you for letting me come. Any questions? Yes, Bob.
Susan, give us some idea of the magical growth of the Vietri since 1983. Where is it now?
Well, today we have 5 different lines of business. On our wholesale business, specialty store business, because we were always considered an upper end luxury line, because everything we do is hand painted, handcrafted, no decals, mouth blown glass, hand turned wood, etc. We sold over 2,000 specialty stores throughout the country. For the large stores, Bloomingdale's is our largest account now, though we do all drop ships with even Saks, who doesn't have a home program anymore, Neiman Marcus, and all the big stores throughout the country. We have a .com business that's retail, that's through Vietri.com. We have an outlet store.com, and everyone has on their table, we have our largest outlet store sale next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and things will be 90% off retail. We used to have them when people would sleep overnight, and we had to stop that, but that'll be then. Now we have a SusanEGradley.com because of the book, and where we do a lot of things that are called La Piazza. I write about different towns, I write about different places, recipes, and we have photographs, so it's all the travels and things I do. So we are the largest importer of Italian products in America now.
First, I just want to thank you. My name is Mary Moss, and I have been an admirer of yours since A Southern Season. I didn't know it was coming right off the good paper. I own lots of different pieces in it in Vietri, and I have followed you, but I don't know how long now. But I brought the book, I bought it, I read it. It is a beautiful weekend. It's already signed once, but I'm going to ask you to sign it again.
Thank you.
It is worth the read. It is so much fun, and the recipes and the stories and the travel is amazing. And on a completely different level, I get to see Susan on a Zoom call with Orange Habitat. What she hasn't talked about.
Without him, yeah.
Yeah, her philanthropy is amazing, and how she gives back to the community. As y'all know, that's what I do. And as a woman building a business, if you ever write that book, I'm gonna come right with you on that one too, because you've been so inspiring to my business partner, Susan Ross and I.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We we always believe that it's really, really important to give back. So we support North Carolina and local Orange County endeavors. So we have supported the elementary school, hospice forever. Though I personally also support Transitions Lifestyle in Raleigh. I think it's spectacular. But the largest thing is Habitat for Humanity. We are contributing $45,000 for through the next 3 years through Chapel Hill Rotary, because they have created a new system where there will be solar panels on the homes. And we, with our young people, felt it was really important to do something they believe in, which is solar energy, the land, taking care of our environment. So that's what we're doing with that. But thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, first off, fantastic. I want to go buy like 20 of your books. I know what I'm giving lots of people.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've spent a lot of time in Italy, so these are some of my love. So I definitely can picture the things that you're talking about. But I'm just curious, like, so I grew up in New Orleans. My grandmother, religion for her.
Absolutely.
Right, it was that when we had our holidays. I mean, she took a week. Like this was like very serious planning. Everyone had to sit at the right place and that stuff. I'm just curious about, as we look at our generations now, I don't see a whole lot of that, right? Are you following COVID? Are you seeing like a resurgence of maybe some of that? And is there something you see in your business that points to something?
Yeah, what you're saying is really interesting, and I'll tell you a little story. Last night I was telling Dr. Bilber that we were over at some mutual friend's house, and the husband, they have a formal dining room. And he had called me, and I thought, see, he's calling me for, and I said, I want you to come over because we now are eating lunch together, and our dining room is too formal. So I want you to come and look at the space because we have this beautiful wallpaper, and I want you to help me make it more happy. And so I went over yesterday, and he likes to think of, I said, tell me what you want the feeling to be. He goes, I want it complete, like my grandmother and mother did. I want it to be just a place where we sit down and we just can stay and dine. So I said, all right, this is a big challenge. So we talked about a few things to change, nothing more. We are finding that young people, weddings are back, and young people are not necessarily going to want all of their brown furniture, but they are going to want some of the dinnerware and some of the silver and pieces that they feel connected to, like you do with your grandmother. In Italy, they are much more casual than we are, and plates don't match. You know, whatever pulls out, pulls out. And if it has a chip, it has a chip. And I encourage young people to do the same thing. You know, they like to collect mugs or different plates. Pull them all out, let people choose which one they want, but sit down and enjoy each other. Because they recognize their lives are hectic and they're making it more hectic by the constancy of their telephone and social media. And we see it around the country that more in the the 35-year-olds, if they're gonna have children, they've had some children, and now they really want 20-somethings, it really has to do with how they were brought up and if that was important. But I don't give up hope. I mean, they love to travel. They adore Italy. They come back on fire with what they experienced. And I think part of that is that we all need to slow down a little bit and have meals together. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and you know, what's interesting is the fabric of our family, since my grandmother passed.
Yeah.
It's just radically different, and it's just, until I heard you speak today, like, it just didn't dawn on me, right? So,
Right.
Yeah, it's fantastic, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, Susan, thanks for telling us your whole story, making us think about a lot of things like that as well. It's just great to see such a success story and have you be such a elegant representative of that whole process and of our whole area. And we do have a little something for you. It doesn't say made in Positano. I'm sorry. Sorry. But it is a Rotary mug with our 4-way test on the back that hopefully you'll keep in mind and enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Two quick things I do want to tell you. If you want a book, please go to Amazon.com. They're less expensive than going to Vietri.com. And if you're Prime, it costs nothing. And also, I'm supposed to say this is not the easy part for me, but Brett's looking at me and she was doing like this. If you like the book, please go to Amazon.com and write a review. Because that helps everything. So thank y'all very much.
Okay. Okay, everyone, and with that, we'll do the way test and conclude the meeting. In the thing we think, say, and do, is it will be beneficial. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
It's also